Welcome back. You're watching Creating Cooperative Kids, and I'm your host, Bill Corbett. Now, according to the 2009 National Survey on Drug Use and Health, on average, nearly 7,000 young people from ages 12 to 17 try marijuana for the first time every single day. But interestingly enough, the rate of their peers disapproving them for using it has increased to 87% in 2009 compared with 84.7% in 2002. Now, this statistic shows that peer pressure to avoid the drug is on the increase. But what can parents do if they discover their teen is using it? With me in the studio today is parent coach and therapist Susan Epstein, who has some valuable experience in this area. Thanks for coming on the show today, Susan.
Thanks for having me, Bill.
So, you know what? It's really a challenge to be a parent. It really is, because you've got to be in charge. You've got to keep track of what's going on. You got to know where your teen is, and there's so much that parents have to do. But of course, the thing lurking in the dark is when your child is influenced by another child who has no boundaries or limits and may stumble on experimenting with marijuana. What's your take on that?
Well, it's everywhere. It doesn't matter where you live, what your neighborhood is. Kids are going to ask other kids, hey, would you like it? And parents need to be super vigilant and be checking.
So what's your experience been with that?
Well, I've worked with a lot of families that, there are kids who will experiment, and they'll go through the phase and they'll be fine.
And you say go through the phase.
They'll try drugs, but it won't stick with them and they won't become consumed. And then there are other children that use it. We talked about ADHD earlier in your show today. Kids, a lot of times kids with ADHD will use it and say it makes me feel better and it helps me concentrate. So they have all kinds of stories about why it's helpful to them. Other kids, you'll just see it happening. It will consume them. They'll start to smoke, and their grades will start to go down, and their eyes are downcast, and they're not connecting with their parents because they have a shameful secret. So it really affects the family dynamic when a kid is using.
So you were just naming some possible signs, but
Yeah.
What are some other possible signs that parents should look for to try to determine if this problem has reached their home?
Well, like I said, number one is looking at grades. Number two is the kid that runs in the front door, runs up to their bedroom, slams the door really quickly and won't say hi to you after school. That's a good one. I don't want you to see my face because I'm high or I'm using something. Secretiveness, lying, not knowing where they are. Where are you? I was just with friends. Why do you need to know? I need to know where you are. It doesn't matter what, that sort of like arguing for no reason. Doesn't seem like there's a real reason for it, because they're hiding something.
And that's a real challenge because
Yeah.
teens have that natural sense anyway. So
Yeah.
then if it's intensified because of what they're hiding, and it's
Right.
even worse, right?
It is, yeah. It's really hard. It's hard for kids don't feel understood by their parents, and parents don't seem to feel like, who is this person living in my house? I thought this was my sweet little, kind little child, and it's turned into this person. I don't even know who they are.
And
Yeah.
that is, it's like a shock. I mean, I
Yeah.
have 3 kids.
Yeah.
I have 3 stepchildren, and it's, when you're the biological natural parent and you see this kind of progression, you see this change, it's like you said, where is my little baby?
Yeah.
And it's hard to almost to keep a level head when
Yeah.
you run into these problems.
Absolutely.
So what can parents do? If a parent suspects that their child may be experimenting with marijuana, what can they do?
Well, some of the things that they can do, and I do have a new book out, and this is it, and there's techniques in here, but I think the first thing to do is not to overreact. And a lot of parents will be, you're grounded, you can't go out for the next 40 years, calling the police, really in an overreaction. And what I like to see is try to use a little humor. Because if you can use a little humor, then you can sort of psychologically sort of beat the rebellion. You could, let's say you found it in the bedroom drawer. It's a good hiding place under the underwear. And you're the mom and you're putting the clothes away and because your kid doesn't put their own underwear away, so you're in there and you find it. I would just put it on the kitchen table and leave it there. And they come home from school and they're like, oh my. And don't say anything for an hour. Okay, just let it be. Let them live with it, because they'll put a self-imposed, oh my gosh, I broke the rule, she knows or he knows, now I'm really and let them do that to themselves, because it's really about teaching sort of like for them to own it, to own what they've done. Then come down and say, we need to talk. We need to talk about this. But I think that we also need to make it a teachable moment. So here's the deal. 2 things. First thing is, I'm going to ask you to write me an essay. And a typical one that I'll often help a parent assign is the teenage boy's brain and marijuana. I want you to write me 250 words, double-spaced, and I want it to be a B paper. And you can't go anywhere until you hand it in to me. And I know what a B paper is because I went to school too. So they'll procrastinate for 2 or 3 days, and they'll be like moping around the house, and you'll be like, well, just give me the paper and we can talk about it, and you come back out. Okay, so finally they give you the paper, and then you sit down and you talk about it. What did you learn? Well, it could kill my brain cells. Well, yeah, or whatever else they learned. The second thing is to drug test your child. And you can buy these tests in a drugstore. You can get them online.
You can get them right in a drugstore?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think there's a website, something, Test My Teen or something like that. and you can and they actually have a swab now. You don't even have to do the whole urine thing, which is sort of intrusive and icky for a lot of moms to try to do for 16-year-old boys. It's not what you want to be doing. If they were arrested and probation officer was doing it, that's another story. But as a parent, you can just swab, and what you say is, I need to get a baseline on you, so I'd like to, and they'll be like, I know my civil rights, you can't touch me. Okay, what is that? It's an admission that I'm using.
Yeah.
Okay,
right.
So I'll give you 28 days. THC stays in the body for 28 days. You have 28 days, and I'm going to test you on day 30, 31, 32, 33, but I'm not going to tell you what day it is. And until then, I'm holding the keys to the car, because what is most parents' nightmare?
Right. They're going to go out.
I don't care if you smoke marijuana. I just don't want you to wrap your car around a tree and kill yourself or somebody else.
Yeah.
So it's really about what is it that we're worried about. We're worried about our kid dying on the road, or hurting somebody else, or hurting their chances to get into college, or whatever it is.
But I want to stop you because you just said something really important. And for the viewers who are watching the show, one of the most important things that I want to focus on, because you gave some great advice, but rule 1, relax.
Yeah.
And I don't want to run over that, because that probably is that sets the foundation.
Absolutely.
Because what happens now is parents get freaked. They freak out and they are worried that, oh my gosh, and now they're like you said, they're going to punish, and they're going to yell, and they're going to scream, and all that's going to do is make it worse.
Absolutely.
And so we've really got to remain calm. In fact, I'm sure that's part of your book, because you and I are both parent educators.
Yes.
And we're both trying to help parents relax. Whether it's a preschooler barking like a dog now for a week straight, or a teen sampling with marijuana, we've really got to relax, because that's from that space of relaxation is going to come the answers that we're going to be able to use, right?
Yeah, I call it mindful robotic parenting. Be a robot.
Right.
Don't let them see how upset you are, and if you have to, use humor to deflect some of what's going on.
Very good advice here, and I really appreciate you coming on the show to sharing that, because I think a lot of parents start freaking out, or what if it happens to me, or they're in denial. Oh, that would never happen to my child, and they need to be open about that. So I'm hoping that our viewers will just, relax and calm down, especially if this hits your home. For parents of teens and even older school-age children, I hope that you've picked up some great tips from Susan that will empower you to take action if necessary. Coming up right after the break, I'll be answering a very interesting question that came in to the show's email box from a viewer. See, they're accusing me of being a part of this sinister movement to have parents thrown in jail who spank their kids. Very interesting. You may be interested too when you hear my answer to this question, so stay with me right through the break. We'll be right back.